Among the masses at the Capitol lobbying today were my next guests who were advocating for a minimum wage hike. Cynthia DiBartolo is the CEO of Tigris Financial Partners and the chair of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce. Darius Ross is the managing partner of D. Alexander Ross Real Estate Capital Partners. And Stuart Applebaum is the president of the Retail Wholesale Department Store Union. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Liz.
for having me.
Good for having you. Good to be having you. Good Lord. Okay, anyway, moving on. Stuart, we're going to start with you. First, I want to ask you this. The governor proposed this in the budget. You and I have actually spoken about this in the not too distant past. The governor proposed this in the budget. Now there's talk about maybe taking it out of the budget. Why was it important for this assembly to do this as a standalone today?
I think it's important for the Assembly to make the point that we need to do an increase in the minimum wage as soon as possible. There's discussion going on whether or not it's in the budget or not in the budget. That's irrelevant. We just need to increase the minimum wage. People are struggling. They can't survive in New York. We have to do something for New York's working poor.
So the idea was to keep the momentum going, even if it is only symbolic. I mean, the Senate's not going to take up any one house anytime soon. It doesn't look like to me.
I think that we're making the argument to the public at large. Already 80% of the people in New York support increasing the minimum wage. We're saying that this is a priority. Let's get it done.
Okay. So now, Darius and Cynthia, you are both business owners,
Yes.
and you delivered a petition to the Senate, if I'm not mistaken. You were at the Assembly event,
Correct.
and then you delivered this petition to the Senate to demonstrate that, counter to popular belief, and also a lot of people who come on this show who represent the business community writ large, that you are business owners and there are others like you who support raising the minimum wage. Why?
Absolutely. Well, as a business owner, as the chairperson of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, representing nearly 22,000 businesses and civic leaders, and I serve on the advisory board of the Business and Labor Coalition of New York, I have heard countless people are supporting this for the very reason they understand by increasing the minimum wage, we are putting money back into circulation. We are empowering our low-wage earners who have been stripped of much of their power and stripped of their dignity because they are living below the poverty line despite working 40 hours a week. By increasing the minimum wage, we would be allowing those low-wage earners to now have additional funds that they could redeploy into their own communities, be it services, food, shelter, all of the consumer services that go along in any society. That in itself has a multiplier effect. When they can purchase more, when individuals can purchase more in their community, consumer spending goes up, the demand for goods and services goes up, more jobs are then created.
Darius, is that, I mean, it also real estate, right, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken? I mean, do you believe that your industry, this segment of the industry that you represent would actually benefit if low-wage earners were making
It's
more?
the biggest industry that's going to be, as I say, taking impact, first of all, as a business owner, as a landlord, and then as a former low-income wage earner. The number one thing is that you shouldn't have to make a choice between rent, transportation, and lights and gas. So some of my tenants actually make deals with me. They turn around and say, okay, I'll pay half the rent one part of the month, the other half the other part of the month, and at the end of the day, they're working 3 jobs. So there's a need.
So if those tenants, if all those tenants, are they making minimum wage, some of those folks?
Majority are.
So if they got just this bump, and we're not talking about a very large bump, it's a bump from, well, depending, it'll either go to 9, or maybe it'll go to 10, or maybe it'll go to 875. There's a lot of numbers floating around. That would make the difference and enable you.
Hopefully with indexing.
With indexing, we'll get to that in a second. But would that would enable you to collect full rents from people every month?
Correct, because it also goes into account a lot of those tenants are actually getting Section 8, rent
right.
adjusted, rent stabilization, so they're already getting stabilized rents as well as adjusted rents, so this is all the more better reason to have it.
Okay, indexing, you bring it up. Stuart, the president proposed it, the governor did not. So I guess I'm unclear in the assembly, it's in the assembly bill. Is the hope that the governor's going to change his mind here? Because now, do you think that there's a chance for that? Because now that the president has come out, the governor said it makes things more complicated, actually.
I think that what the president has done has put wind behind the backs of all those people who are pushing to increase the minimum wage with indexing. I believe that it was important for the president to say what he did. The Assembly all along has talked about indexing, and I think that the reality of the situation is that we can't have this fight every 2 years. Let's take care of it. Let's have the minimum wage reflect cost of living increases, and let's do it now.
Well, the cynical person might say that if in fact you have it out there every 2 years, you have the opportunity to trade it for something else.
I'm not that cynical person. I think that people are struggling. We have to be aware of people who are just struggling to survive, to feed themselves in New York. And we have to take care of them. It's good. I thought we just heard two eloquent arguments for increasing the minimum wage. And I thought part of that argument was that it's smart policy. It's good for New York. It's the smart thing to do for our economy. Every dollar a low-wage worker gets, they're going to have to spend and pour back into the economy.
Correct, absolutely.
You know, you don't hear, though, like, for example, I don't hear from RWDSU, which is the Real Estate Board of New York, that they are really pro-minimum wage. Why do you think that is?
That's politics.
What does
Pure and
that mean?
simple.
I have no idea what that means. What does that mean?
Right now, that's not really good business sense to touch the subject matter. That's what's really happening.
Right.
So RWDSU is primarily spending a lot of their money, and a lot of their associations are going into candidates and political action committees, so it's just not good business right now.
Okay, but
think
you're willing to take the risk, quite clearly.
I'm willing to take the risk because it's, it doesn't take much to look at people struggling. And as a business owner, I would hate the thought of people working for me and wondering how they're going to pay their electric bill. I think it's despicable.
So you're not paying anyone minimum wage then?
I don't pay minimum wage.
I do.
You do?
And I actually have to turn around and I'm adding on to that because I'm actually subsidizing my workers to just get back the income that they're putting in the rents.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, continue. So it's a moral thing for you?
For me, it's a moral thing. I think that I want everyone to feel valued. People deserve to have a sense of dignity and purpose. Nobody wants to be a ward of the state. You think it makes people feel good to have to use food stamps and get other entitlements? Plus, we want people who are paid a fair minimum wage, working 40 hours a week, to have the goal that there is upward mobility for a career, that they are not completely stuck in a situation that has no chance of improvement.
Let me just ask you a political question, Stuart. You, as a union, do endorsements. You get involved in state elections. In 2014, is this going to be an issue for you if it doesn't pass at the state level this year?
I think the issue is a broader one. What's happening to low-wage workers? What's going on with income inequality? Is it expanding? Is it contracting? What can we do about it? And I think this is one of the many factors that's going to be involved in our making decisions about 2014. But I want to say that there used to be a notion that there was a social compact in society, that people would go to work in an honest job and that they'd be able to earn enough to come home and support themselves and their families. That social compact is frayed. It doesn't exist anymore. People go to work every day, work at honest jobs, and are still condemned to lives of poverty. And that's something that we can't tolerate, allow to continue. It's going to be a factor in 2014.
And I agree with you, Stuart, because if we allow it to perpetuate itself, we already know what the collateral effects are. The collateral effects are increased crime in neighborhoods. We have bulging prison systems. I mean, all of this needs to go inherent with the fact that we have a group in society that can't make ends meet.
How many names were on the petitions that you served to the Senate today?
400.
400.
Business leaders.
And what was the variety there?
Ranging anywhere from, example, Costco, we have ABC Homes, Buffalo First, Balcony, Northeast Organic Farming, the New York Chamber of Commerce, Eileen Fisher, etc.
Okay. Do we know, though, what percentage? I mean, you might be the first person who's come to this table who says to me, yes, I actually do pay minimum wage. I mean, I don't even know what percentage of people, there aren't that many people who are members of yours who make minimum wage.
I think we're concerned about the whole industry, so it's not just union members. The best anti-poverty program in our country's history has been a union contract. But we think there are about 800,000 people in New York State who are making minimum wage right now.
And my business is dependent on many, many people who are paid minimum wage. whether they're companies providing services, vendor services, those people are impacted, and I want to be a voice for those people.
Did you hear at all the Assembly debate today?
No, I did not.
The Republicans did make an argument that if you index this to the cost of inflation and inflation decreases, then the minimum wage stays the same. It doesn't go down. It only goes up when inflation goes up. So that would be a cost to business at that time. Have you thought
Can
about
you
that
refresh my memory the last time we had
cannot.
deflation?
at all? I cannot. So you're saying, but it could happen, and it has happened. Not being an economic expert, it could happen. But
A meteor could land here in New York too. We don't know.
Stuart, you've just sort of jinxed us all. But I just, but the argument, I guess the argument, you don't think the argument has merit?
No, I don't. And I don't think they believe it has merit either. It's just a rationalization.
Okay, well, we'll be talking about this. We'll see. I know that, various different leaders in the legislature, the governor of the IDC, Shelley Silver, and also Dean Skelos have all said it should be done in the budget. It shouldn't be done in the budget. We don't know. The budget should be done in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I want to thank you very much. Cynthia, thank you.
Thank you.
Darius,
It's been a
thank you.
pleasure.
Stuart Applebaum, thank you. It's
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
Appreciate it.
It's always good to see you.